Our game of the week last week featured Black River and the Buckeye Bucks from the Patriot Athletic Conference in the Stars Division. And Sean Duffy, I'll tell you what, this was a defensive game, but there were some offensive highlights as well in this. It was a fun time.
Well, I mean, first off, the action started off pretty quick for Buckeye. They were able to score on their second drive of the first quarter in a 57-yard drive, capped off by a 17-yard touchdown run by senior running back quarterback Michael Durgee. Buckeye ended up leading that 7-0, and Buckeye was able to tack on another touchdown thanks to an 80-yard touchdown run by wide receiver Justin Kennedy. And I really do feel like those two guys scored mainly so that I would have to pronounce their names correctly. So for all you Buckeye Bucks fans, I did it this time, and I was able to get the proper pronunciation based off the PA announcer.
You've been on a roll, man.
Well, moving on to the second quarter, the second quarter began with a 78-yard touchdown drive that was capped off by a 1-yard touchdown run by the Black River Pirates, and that run was by running back Jacob Campbell. At that point, the lead was cut to 14-7, and it stayed there until halftime. So the Buckeye Bucks took a 14-7 halftime lead and came out in the third quarter. And one of the big stories of the third quarter was not so much an offensive explosion by both teams, but a hard-hitting defensive battle. Both teams were bend, don't break. They basically were letting either team move within the 20s, but never got to the point where they scored. Or even got into field goal position. So what Rob and Josh and I noticed was the hard hitting. I mean, we were on the sidelines for the second half of the game on the Black River side of it, and it was just popping. I mean, there were pads popping. They were really good. Really
there were a lot of hard
sound
hits.
Tackles. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't dirty. It was just hard hitting Patriot Athletic Conference football. So the third quarter ended right where the second quarter ended. With Buckeyes clinging to a 14-7 lead. Buckeye opened the fourth quarter, starting on their own 13-yard line, and they marched down all the way down to the Pirates' 7-yard line. But the Pirates were able to hold the Bucks out of the end zone and force a 24-yard field goal by Richard Gatt. Buckeye held a 17-7 lead with about 8:13 left in the fourth quarter. Black River at that point was in desperation mode, and for a team like Black River, you could tell that maybe passing wasn't their go-to. They're more of a run, control-the-clock team. But when they started to pass it, they were able to complete some passes. But it seemed like for every good play, they got snake-bit by penalties. I mean,
that was the huge thing.
That was a big thing in the fourth quarter. The coach for Black River was actually at one point telling the referees they need to start calling the game both ways because it seemed like any time Black River made any sort of advance down the field, they got tacked on with a holding call or a
legal
false
block
start,
in the
a
back.
legal block in the back, things like that. So a lot of that may have been shooting themselves in the foot, but maybe you could also make a case that the referees maybe were calling the game a little too conservatively. Unfortunately, the Pirates were not able to mount a comeback, and the Buckeye Bucks held on to a 17-7 victory. And it's really, really good. After the game, head coach Mark Benzoni praised his team, and specifically his defense, for holding a team. And you have to take this into account. I mean, Black River, in the last 2 weeks, has put up upwards, 41 points a game?
Yeah, they've been scoring.
And you're holding this team to 7 points? I mean, that's very impressive. And the hard hitting, and they even went on to say that they out-physicaled Black River. And you could see that. Buckeye was able to secure a win defensively and put the game pretty much on ice when Richard Van Boxel intercepted a pass that was a pass by Black River, and Buckeye was able to salt the game away and secure the victory. So defensively, the Buckeye Bucks have been playing lights out football, and they're continuing to do that. Buckeye is a scary team in the Division III ranks right now because if they're able to put this much of a defensive effort going into a playoff, they're going to be tough to beat. I mean, and the atmosphere, if they can get a home game, the atmosphere at Buckeye Buck Stadium was pretty cool because they don't have a lot of seating, but people stand around the fences.
It was packed.
And they feel like they're right on top of you. So that was a very excellent game of the week for us. We were happy that the Buckeye Bucks athletic department and the coaching staff were so open to us. I mean, Rob was in the locker room
Yeah,
before the
check
game.
out the video.
Check out the video. He's doing it. So yeah, it was a
That's
great
pretty
game,
legit, man.
and it
Yeah,
was
it was pretty fun.
It was fun to go outside of our divisions for a week and see, how the other teams are playing, and get to see Buckeye live and in person.
Yeah, and Buckeye improved to 6-1 on the season. They'll travel to Firelands, which is a big game because I believe Firelands is also 6-1. While Black River, they fell to 4-3. That's their second straight loss. They'll travel to Brookside there. So a great night there for Buckeye. It was a lot of fun. I want to thank them for all their hospitality. Now, we'll move as our game of the week this Friday. Where are we going to be? Everyone always wants to know.
They keep asking me.
Yeah, they all want us to go to a certain location. But this week, we're going to head to Copley, where it's Aurora against Copley, and it's going to be a great game.
Yep.
Both teams 6-1 in the American division.
Both teams undefeated in the division, too.
And ranked 2-3 according to Joe Itel. So that's a 2-3 matchup there, and there's going to be a lot of points and playoff implications on the line in this one. Guys, any thoughts on Aurora against Copley? We saw Copley once this year already, and Weston Bridges was impressive. I think that's a guy that you got to somewhat contain. It's tough to really stop him. If you can contain him, you might have a chance here.
Well, Aurora has really established themselves as a powerhouse in the Suburban League. They kind of came from the outside. They weren't part of the normal grouping of Suburban League teams that we're used to seeing, but they've settled in quite well in this league, let alone just this division. And they have some good there's some great offensive firepower in their own right. But you can't go wrong with Weston Bridges is a difference maker, and he'll be the X factor, I think, in this game against Aurora. We'll see if coach decides to deploy him on defense at all to help them stop that potent Aurora offense.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the Aurora team versus Copley in this, because I really do think you're seeing two evenly matched teams. I think both offensively and defensively. I think you're going to see the winner of this really kind of control their own destiny, not only in the division. I mean, this is kind of a pseudo championship game for either one of those for the division, but I think also from a grand scheme of things, I think the winner of this would have to vault to the top of that region. I mean, just based on the win alone.
Yeah, I mean, last year at this time, Aurora and Copley were also, Copley was undefeated.
Yeah.
And Aurora had one loss.
Yep.
And Aurora won this game and vaulted to the number 1 seed in the Region 3 at the time.
So Copley's got payback on their mind at this point from last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it should be a good one.
And as a reminder, when we are in Copley on Friday, follow us at SOT Podcast for in-game updates. And then after that, click on over to neosportsinsiders.com, where you can read the in-game recap and see our highlight video package that we have posted on there. So all good stuff coming from Sports on Tap.
Also, if you're going to post scores or give us updates so that we can retweet them, use the hashtag SOTHSF.
Got it.
God, that's
Say that 10 times fast.
And a quick
SOT.
update, we are in the top of the 8th inning. Indians up 4-2 as we are 2 innings away from the ALCS.
Yes,
Another solid week. We are 70% done with the regular season.
Yep.
We got Week 8 coming up. We want to thank head coach Kevin Finch from the Fayetteville Rockets down in the Cincinnati area. They are 5-2 going into their next matchup of the last conference play of the last conference game of the year. Duffy, would you care to give us an update on your Aviators?
My Aviators, they lost a heartbreaker last week to Troy. Not really a heartbreaker. It was kind of
55-0.
No, it was
just kidding.
It wasn't pretty. But they are currently sitting at.
They're number 8 right now.
Yeah, they're at number 8. They were at number 6, so that dropped them. They got a big matchup against Piqua this week. That if they get that, I think that's going to help them. So, got to keep moving, my Aviators. But unfortunately, they lost the homecoming game to Troy.
That's all right. They keep plugging away in Vandalia.
Yes, they do.
Well, I want to thank everyone for listening. It's been a fun show. Good luck on Friday. We'll be at Copley, so come and say hi to us. For Ed Dick, Sean Duffy, Josh Effie, I'm Rob Troutman. We're Sports on Tap. This has been our Ohio High School football coverage. We'll see you next week. See you on Friday. Have a good week, everybody.
Go Tribe.